Again, nothing, Maria said hopelessly, showing the test to her husband. There were no coveted 2 lines. Nothing new, Greg replied indifferently. I don't understand why you're upset. Maria, choking back a sob, left the room. What can you do if your husband doesn't understand why she's upset about the pregnancy not happening? They've been together for 5 years. During this time, they could have had 2 children, but she doesn't have any. And it seems like she won't. Why be together then? It hadn't even been a year since the wedding, and she had already visited doctors, trying to understand why the desired pregnancy wasn't happening. Everyone said the same thing: it's too early to panic, everything is fine with her, there's no need to worry, the pregnancy will eventually happen. It's easy for them to say it will happen. When will it happen? Her age is steadily approaching 30, and Maria always wanted to be a young mother who would be on the same wavelength as her child. But not worrying and not being upset can last until 40, and then who knows what will happen. And people will ask the child, who's taking you to school, mom or grandma? However, her chances of living with her own husband until 40 are practically non-existent. Greg will leave her much earlier. It's quite understandable. Who would want to live with a barren woman? There's nothing to blame him for in this case. Why should he deprive himself of the opportunity to become a father? He's surprised now at what she's upset about. But one fine day, he'll realize that there are plenty of young, healthy women around, each of whom will be happy to give him a child, or even more than one. Greg went to the kitchen, hugged his wife by the shoulders. What's wrong? Why the tears? All the doctors tell you that you'll have children. Why are you upset? Listen, Greg. Maria abruptly turned to him. Maybe you'll just leave me right now? Here we go again. And don't even hope for it. Why should I leave you? Because I'm inadequate, I can't bear a child. Sooner or later, you'll leave me. That's what happens to all barren women. But the later it happens to us, the more painful it will be for me, believe me. I don't just love you, I'm not just getting used to you. I feel like I'm growing into you, you know? I can't imagine life without you anymore. And with each passing day, it only gets stronger. Besides, look at yourself. You're wasting time. I'm wasting time. You can get married. You'll have children. Maybe I'll be able to marry a widower with children. No. But this is too much, Maria. I'm not going to marry just to have children. I only need you. I love you too. I also feel like I'm growing into you and can't live without you. And you're saying that I should divorce you and marry another woman just so she can give birth to me. If I want children, it's specifically from you. Can you understand that? I can. I understand it perfectly. But I also understand that I can't have children. And now you can say anything you want. But in a year, you'll just look at your friends, who already have children, and realize that you're wasting your life in vain. It's ridiculous, Greg sighed hopelessly. Are you even listening to me, Greg? Maria exclaimed. I'm telling you, if we divorce now, that's one thing, but if it happens in 5 years, it'll be much worse. I just won't be able to handle it, you know? I won't survive. Now you love me and agree to put up with it, but what about in 5 years? The woman insisted. In 5 years, our eldest son will be going to kindergarten, and our youngest daughter will say her first word, Mom, and we'll be happy that our third child is also a girl. Does this forecast satisfy you? Maria quietly cried, burying her head in her husband's shoulder. Where are they, our son and daughter? Why aren't they here? What if they never come? Well, they don't have to be. After all, childless couples live and live well. I'm perfectly fine with the fact that we'll never have children. The main thing is that you're here, Greg reassuredly stroked his wife's hair. Gregory, darling, will you forgive me? My love, come back soon. I have wonderful news for you. I want you to be with me. Please, come. Don't be angry with me. I swear, I haven't been with anyone, she repeated, fearing her husband wouldn't listen to her to the end. It doesn't matter, came Gregory's icy voice through the receiver. I don't want to talk to you, and I don't want to hear any excuses. Goodbye. No, my dear, my beloved, please don't hang up, listen to me, she shouted, but all she got in response was a series of long beeps. And on that day, and the next, and the day after that, Maria realized that Gregory was now living with his mother, but she didn't want to go there. Her relationship with her mother-in-law was strained. She tried to go to his workplace and catch her husband on the street to at least inform him of the changed circumstances. But she never managed to meet Gregory. And when she called him again hoping for an explanation, his mother picked up the phone. Hello, Maria. Gregory's not here. He quit his job and left. No, I won't tell you where. Don't ask. He'll send you divorce papers by mail. You've been wanting this for a long time, now you can rejoice. You finally got him tired of your hysterics. Did he complain to you? Maria asked, sensing hidden triumph in her mother-in-law's voice. You don't know him well, dear. My son never complained to anyone about anything. But I'm a mother, I can see how difficult it was for him to live with you lately. And I know you well too. From the very first day, I saw that nothing good would come out of your marriage. He's leaving the apartment to you, so you can live as you please. Don't bother calling here anymore. Besides, I'm leaving soon too, to be with my son, his mother hung up. Maria sat down and cried bitterly. Now she was alone. It was hard to believe that Gregory had gone somewhere. Most likely, his mother said it out of spite, so that her future daughter-in-law would stop calling and bothering her son. Maria was sure of that. She went to the hospital where Gregory worked and decided to ask the HR department when his shift was so she could meet him for sure. But they confirmed to her that Gregory had quit. Why? Where did he transfer to? To which other hospital? Please tell me, I really need to know. Maria pleaded, but no one could tell her that. Either they didn't know, or Gregory warned them not to tell her. Both options were equally bad. She also went to his house. This time, his mother answered the door but didn't let her into the apartment. She repeated the same things she said on the phone. Gregory left, he'll live and work in another city. She's also planning to leave. It all seemed true. There were boxes in the apartment, apparently with packed belongings. His mother slammed the door in her future daughter-in-law's face, without even listening to her explanations or knowing that she was pregnant. Now this long-awaited pregnancy was completely unnecessary and even harmful to Maria, as she had no intention of being a single mother. She went to the doctor to get a referral for an abortion. But there she was hit with another piece of news. It's too late to terminate the pregnancy. I can't have this baby. What am I supposed to do now? The woman asked plaintively. I don't understand. What abortion? You've been trying for so many years to get pregnant, wondering why it hasn't happened. And now it has. And you're saying you can't have this baby? My circumstances have changed. My husband left. I don't know how I'll live alone with a child. Just like thousands of other women. There's nothing to worry about. You wanted a baby so much. And now you'll have one soon. You shouldn't worry about it, but rejoice, take care of yourself, try to do everything to make sure the child is born healthy. Maybe, knowing this, your husband will come back, the doctor said encouragingly. Maria left the office stunned. It's easy for this doctor to say. She didn't know and didn't want to know how thousands of other women live. Motherhood is happiness only when there's a reliable financial base and support. And when you're left alone, it's not happiness, but a terrible burden. Not to mention that personal life will be forgotten forever. So she spent the rest of her pregnancy with the thought that inside her was not her and Gregory's child, but some alien, harmful tumor that would ruin her life, her youth, and her health. She even thought about the ways women in the old days terminated pregnancies, but she didn't know the details and was afraid of harming herself above all. However, there was another way to avoid trouble. Some women give up their children. Yes, it's highly condemned by society, but society easily judges others. Would they find themselves in such a situation? Moreover, nothing bad happens to these children. They are later adopted by childless couples and often live much better than with their biological parents. She needed to hurry up and get married, and with a child, there's practically no chance. Thus, they will both be unhappy. She, the single mother, and he, fatherlessness. And maybe, she thought, a complete, normal family with good income will adopt them. It's much better than living with a poor, embittered mother who won't be able to buy an extra apple for her child. By the time Maria gave birth, she had already made a final decision. Her son was born on time, a healthy, beautiful boy. But the mother refused to even look at him. When they brought the baby to her for feeding, the woman turned away to the wall. I will write a refusal. I don't need the child, she told the astonished nurse. But how? The girl was puzzled. You still need to feed him. You feed him. I won't. I don't want to get used to this child, and I don't want to see him. I'm telling you, I don't need the child. Where can I write a refusal? Go to the head doctor later, the nurse said with a trembling voice and took the squeaking baby away. In the doctor's office, Maria faced a very unpleasant conversation. The elderly, experienced woman had dealt with such mothers before, had spoken all these words about the joy of motherhood, about the necessity for the child of the biological mother, not for the first time. Think for yourself, you sign a refusal and you'll never see your baby again. Don't you want to know what he'll be like in a month, in a year, when he grows up? He'll be just fine. If I don't want to see him now, why would I want to in a year or 20 years? Maybe he'll be adopted by good people, and nothing good awaits him with me. I don't love this child, he's ruined my whole life. But you were married, and you can't just refuse, it's also his decision. Maria sighed with relief to herself. She managed to divorce Gregory by the time of the birth. I have no idea where my ex-husband is. He left town with his mom without saying anything to me. It doesn't matter to him if I give birth or die. I don't even have his phone number. What should I do, in your opinion? Who should I look for him with? I'm doing the only thing I can. I'm writing a refusal, knowing full well that the child will be better off in any orphanage than with me. Give me the paper, a pen, I'll write, and we'll finish this conversation. And you better discharge me soon, I'm tired of it. All the women in the ward are hissing at me like snakes. That's how Maria left the maternity hospital, light-handed, leaving the child behind. She didn't feel sorry for the baby, left without a mother's love. She just got rid of an obstacle that could significantly complicate her life. And she really didn't like complications. She still had some prospects. Having dealt with this problem, that's how Maria called the refusal of the child. She was ready to start a new life. But she quickly realized that it would hardly work out in the same place. The town was small, and even if someone believed her legend that the child was stillborn, rumors still leaked out. Even her mother found out and started to say something, but Maria didn't listen. She didn't regret what she had done, and to get rid of rumors and gossip, she decided on a very simple way. She sold her apartment and moved to the regional center. Strangely enough, even at the stage of buying a new apartment in a new place, she was incredibly lucky. She met Oscar. He worked as a deputy chief of the police department, where she went for some paperwork. And this young pleasant man immediately paid attention to her. They met, started dating. A year later, Maria was already married to him, and another year later, she gave birth to a beautiful daughter. Oscar knew that Maria had been married before. She had no intention of hiding it. But she didn't say anything about the child. She told about her previous life in her own way, which evoked sympathy from her husband. Imagine, he left me because I couldn't give him a child. Apparently, he was infertile himself. After all, we immediately had a daughter, and look how beautiful she is. And I lived with him for 5 years, and nothing. I've heard so many reproaches from him and his mother. It's so hard to remember those times, the woman sighed, feeling no hypocrisy in her words. Oscar understood everything, gently embracing her and calming her down. It's all in the past, the man reassured her. I can't even imagine how I could endure all that. I had no idea how happy a woman could be, and now I know. She was truly happy, not fearing that the past might someday resurface. The main thing was that everything in the present was as she had once dreamed. Her husband worked, she took care of the house and their daughter, and she never thought about the past. She even completely forgot about the day she had given birth to her son and never even mentally acknowledged it. Maria had no idea that her first husband actually worked in the same town, at the regional hospital. But the town was big, and the chances of them meeting were almost non-existent. And even if she happened to see Gregory on the street by chance, she would try to pass by unnoticed. There was nothing more to talk about. He didn't even know that she had given birth to a child who was now growing up somewhere, maybe in another family, maybe in an orphanage. In any case, they would never meet again, so they simply wouldn't recognize each other. Gregory knew nothing about the child or where Maria lived now. He, too, tried to forget the past. The man moved to the regional center not to pine over his ex-wife, but precisely to forget her as soon as possible. It seemed to have worked for him, although Gregory hadn't yet sorted out his personal life. He had the chance, but not the desire. He lived with his mother, whom he had taken in. He hardly communicated with acquaintances from his previous life, and he had no chance of accidentally finding out about his ex-wife's life. Then there was a need to visit the hometown after all. The reason was more than sad. Gregory's mother had passed away. Since before her death she asked to be buried in the cemetery next to her husband, her son had to, in fulfilling her last wish, go back to his native places for a short time. After the funeral, Gregory sat at the cemetery, looking at his father's monument, at the fresh mound of his mother's grave, lost in his sad thoughts, when he heard a child's voice behind him, apparently with a cold. "Mister, do you have any candy?" He turned around and saw a 5-year-old boy. Skinny, poorly dressed, somewhat disheveled, clearly from a troubled family. Or not from a family at all. "Sorry, I didn't think and didn't bring any candy with me. You probably want to eat, right?" The boy nodded. "Let's go, I'll buy you something you like to eat." The boy was clearly hungry, but, swallowing his saliva, he said, "No, I just need candy or money. I have to bring them, or Raphael will fight me again and twist my ears." Who's Raphael? Gregory asked, already with concern. But he's our leader. He's the oldest and the strongest. Everyone's afraid of him, including me. He orders us all to collect anything tasty here and bring it. But people don't always come to the cemetery. Sometimes, like now, there's no one here. Like on Easter. The child perked up. I was really lucky then. There were a lot of people, and everyone brought something, and everyone gave. I brought a whole bag, more than anyone else, both candy and cookies. Gregory even closed his eyes, imagining how the child lived if he had to beg at the cemetery, collect candy from graves, and give it to some Raphael. He was about to ask about the parents, although everything was clear. What parents? It's better not to think about it. He asked something else. What's your name, little one? Daniel, the boy replied. And yours? And mine's Gregory. Mr. Gregory, that is. He agonizingly thought about what to do with this unfortunate child when suddenly the boy staggered and started coughing violently. What's this? Are you catching a cold? Exclaimed Gregory. He touched the child's forehead and realized he had a high fever. Well, this won't do. You're seriously sick, and I'm a doctor. Let's go to my place. We'll see what we can do there. But how will I get back later? They won't let me back. They'll say I ran away, the child said, coughing. They will let you, don't worry. They'll definitely let you. I'll buy you everything. Candy, cookies, whatever you want. And they'll thank you for coming back. He firmly took Daniel's hand and led him to his car. The boy initially resisted, but then complied. It was clear that he was really unwell. The journey home was not close, but they had to hurry. Gregory already suspected that the child had a serious cold. For now, all he could give him was aspirin, a cough tablet, cover him with the blanket in the car, and advise him to sleep. I have plenty of food at home, and there are medicines. I'll definitely help you. The main thing is, don't be afraid of me, he said, realizing how strange all these words might sound. Oh my God, children live in such conditions nowadays. Gregory thought, trying to drive cautiously but quickly. The boy probably had pneumonia, and if I hadn't met him in time, who knows how long it would have lasted for him. It's just a nightmare. With such thoughts, late in the evening, he arrived home, bathed the child, fed him, gave him the necessary medicine, and put him to bed. He put his clothes in the washing machine because there were no children's clothes, and it was too late to go shopping. Let Daniel wear all the old clothes, but at least they're clean. The next day, early in the morning, Gregory took the child to his hospital. The examination showed the expected result: pneumonia. The boy was immediately admitted to the ward, and treatment began immediately. Even during his off hours, Gregory visited the boy. They had already become friends before Daniel ended up in the hospital. He had been told how serious his illness was, and he was grateful to Gregory. So, Mr. Gregory, does this mean you saved me? Daniel asked. Your illness was really serious. And if you hadn't been taken to the hospital in time, it could have gotten worse for you. This is no joke. Diseases need to be treated. That's why doctors exist. Gregory wanted to know how the boy ended up in such a situation, and he tried to ask him discreetly. But Daniel remembered little about his past, except that it was very unhappy. According to him, at first, he lived in some other house, an orphanage, as Gregory understood. Then he was probably adopted because he had fake mom and dad. I didn't like them at all, Daniel explained. They didn't love me, and I didn't love them. At first, When I was very little, I lived with them because I didn't know how to leave. And when I got a little bigger, I ran away. But I didn't know where to go. They caught me quickly, brought me back. They beat me and locked me in the closet for a long time. I don't remember how long I sat there. Then I decided to run away again. They would have caught me again. Only this time, I was riding on a tram for a while, then I got off right next to the cemetery. That's how it happened. And I was really lucky because I just happened to run into those boys. And do you know anything about your real parents? The man asked. No, I don't know anything. I don't remember them at all, but I often dream about what they're like, and I think they'll find me. I must have gotten lost when I was little, or someone kidnapped me. I don't remember that, but they can't forget. They're looking for me, and they'll definitely find me. Just don't give me to those fake ones. No one's going to give you anywhere. What are you? Gregory reassured the boy. Although, to be honest, he had no idea what to do with the boy when he recovered. Were you with Daniel again, Mr. Gregory? Asked the young nurse, Martha. You know, you look so much like him. If I didn't know, I would have thought he was your son. I would have been happy if he were my son. But, alas, it's impossible, sighed Gregory. The hospital staff knew he had been married, divorced, and had been living alone since then. Well, such resemblance happens. A real son rarely looks so much like his father. Just look, he even pouts his lips just like you. Gregory looked at Daniel closely, and with each passing day, he became more convinced that the girl was right. In the evening at home, he started going through the photos. He needed to choose the one that would be on his mother's memorial. Suddenly, flipping through the pages of an old album, he was surprised to see a photo of Daniel. How could it have appeared there? And it was clearly not new. He turned the picture over and read. Gregory is 6 years old, soon to start school. Written by Mom's hand. Even if there are many similar people, such coincidences probably don't happen. Gregory stared at the photo for a long time, and then decided that there was no need to think about it, but to act. The next morning, he submitted his and Daniel's DNA tests for analysis. Upon receiving the results, he froze again, not understanding what was happening. What's wrong with you, Mr. Gregory? You look like you've seen a ghost, exclaimed Martha, who popped into the office. Pretty much, yes, said Gregory and showed her the test results. Well, there you go. I told you, he's your spitting image. So, I wasn't wrong, and he really is your son. Why aren't you happy then? Finding your child is a blessing, isn't it? The girl clapped her hands. The thing is, Martha, I was 100% sure that I didn't have any children, and I would never refuse my own son. My wife and I lived together for almost 5 years, but we didn't have any kids, and we separated. And what's happening now? She was pregnant, and I didn't know. Well, these things happen. Women sometimes hide their pregnancies. Especially since you were planning to divorce. Maybe out of pride or some other reasons, she didn't say. Are you sure it was your wife who gave birth to him? Maybe. No, it couldn't be. The child could only be from Maria. There were no other women in my life. At least not during that period. But the age of the boy indicates that he was born 7 months after we split up. We didn't see each other, but she should have informed me. So, there's no doubt about it. Yeah, there's no doubt. Really, what am I thinking? Of course, it was Maria who gave birth to the child, but then how did he end up in an orphanage? She couldn't have given birth to him and abandoned him. Which means something happened to her. And no one even informed me. She had relatives. Her mother. They could have called, told me. And why didn't they take the child if something happened to Maria? I tried to call her, but, of course, the number has long been changed. How do I find her now? I don't even know if she's alive. Wait before you despair. I think finding her won't be that difficult if you know her details. Date of birth, registered address. The girl said sensibly. Well, yeah, you're right. I know these details. But I can't even imagine where to turn with such a question. And here I can be helpful to you. I have a cousin who works in the police. He'll find out everything. It won't be much trouble for him. Martha was sincerely glad that she could be of service. Gregory eagerly seized this opportunity. Martha, please, you'll help me a lot. An official will find out everything much faster, and I'll be poking around who knows where, explaining who knows what to everyone. And Daniel will be discharged soon. Where should he go? I could easily establish paternity, but we need to know where the child's mother is. Come to my place tonight. I'll invite my brother, and there you can explain everything to him. I'm sure he'll find your wife very quickly, and perhaps he'll suggest what needs to be done so that you can easily take your son with you. I can imagine how happy the poor little boy will be. I feel so sorry for him. Such a good boy has been through so much at such a young age. Gregory was pleased that he would be able to find out Maria's fate, perhaps quickly and without any problems. It couldn't be said that he still loved this woman. 6 years can erase even such feelings without a trace. But he never wished her any harm. And now even more so. He found out that she was the mother of his child. To imagine that she abandoned this child, refused him, was impossible. After all, she wanted children so badly. But why didn't Maria inform him in any way that their son was about to be born? There can only be one explanation. She didn't have time. The next day, as promised, Gregory went to Martha's for a visit. He had never been to her house before, of course, and had never even seen her without a white coat and hat. Gregory didn't even recognize her at first when the girl opened the door. Why do you look so surprised? Hello, smiled Martha, dressed in what seemed like simple, homey, but neat and very becoming attire. I didn't recognize you at first. It seems like I'm seeing you for the first time without a white coat and hat. Turns out you have a very beautiful hairstyle, Gregory responded cheerfully. What can I say? At our job, no uniform means no work. And what do you think suits me better? Martha flirtatiously twirled in front of him. In all your outfits, sweetheart, you look great. Gregory chuckled, slightly embarrassed, and handed her a box of pastries. Here, brought these for tea. Somehow, I didn't think about buying flowers. Oh, you didn't need to bring pastries either. I baked my signature pie. But come on in, my brother hasn't arrived yet. He's coming with his family, with his wife and daughter. We haven't seen each other in a long time. His daughter has probably grown up by now. We live not too far from each other, but we rarely meet. Only on holidays. Gregory stepped into the apartment and again marveled at how cozy and well organized the small space was. The little flat didn't look cramped at all, and everything seemed to be in its place. The appetizing smells wafting from the kitchen added to the homey atmosphere. Your talents are truly remarkable. For instance, I'm very impressed and would be ready to propose right now. But here's the trouble. I'm 10 years older than you and, as of late, a single father. You see, Martha, I always dreamed of marrying once and for life, and I was already married. I hoped it would stay that way. But as you can see, it didn't work out. Life has some very regrettable mistakes, Gregory said. What's so surprising about that? Do you think I haven't made mistakes? I also wanted to get married once, for life, a great love and all that. But it turned out to be a beautiful romance, just like in the movies. Moonlit meetings, flowers, promises, confessions. Even my friends envied me. And then one of them told me that my fiancée had another bride, who was already expecting a child. I asked him directly if it was true, and he confessed without hesitation that it was. That was the end of the love story. What happened next with him and that other bride, I honestly don't know. No, she could have envied me. I found out in time the true face of this hero fiancé. At least she didn't have a child with him. Children suffer the most in such cases, Martha said. Yeah, what can you do? Life is indeed a complicated thing, Gregory agreed. You're absolutely right. At least as a result of your mistake, no little person is suffering. For me, it's much more complicated. I still don't know what's going on here, so I hope with your help to finally find out what happened to my ex-wife. If you manage to find her, will you get back together again? The girl asked cautiously. I have no idea. I'm not making any plans for now. I don't want to get back together with her, but I'm afraid something terrible happened to her. Maybe she's seriously ill, helpless. In that case, it would be too cruel to abandon her. We won't be husband and wife, of course, but I'll have to help her. And in that case, personal life will have to take a back seat. But still, this option seems more preferable to me than the other. After all, Maria could have even died. Yes, I think you're right. I just can't imagine any other option. How could a healthy woman abandon her child and let him roam the streets like an orphan? Martha frowned as she spoke, and Gregory tried to change the subject. Why hasn't your brother arrived yet? Is he definitely coming? Oh, come on, he'll come, of course. First of all, I told him that we haven't seen each other for a long time and it's time to fix that. And secondly, I hinted that the meeting is somewhat business-related too, implying that we need to find someone. I didn't give any details because I don't know them myself, but he promised to help. Then he called again and said he would come with his wife and daughter. His wife is also a very nice woman, and their daughter is just adorable. Ah, here they are. Martha exclaimed joyfully and rushed to the door upon hearing the bell. Gregory remained in the room, mentally praying that Martha's brother wouldn't refuse his request. After all, Maria lived not in this city, and he could simply say that his influence doesn't extend that far. The door opened, Martha greeted someone happily, male and female voices were heard, and someone was playing with a child. And something familiar struck Gregory in those sounds. Yes, this is a picture from my long-standing dream. Husband, wife, and a little child visiting relatives. Everyone is happy, hugging each other. And it seems like I'm not destined for that. Even if I go visit someone, it's only with my son. And there walked in Martha's relatives. The smiling brother with the charming toddler in his arms and... Maria! What are you doing here? How are you here? Gregory asked incredulously, who came here to find out if his ex-wife was alive. Now he didn't need to ask anything. There she was, right here. What does this mean? Maria was just as surprised as her ex-husband, but besides astonishment, she felt other emotions that didn't allow her to say anything. She just sighed and took a step back. Do you two know each other? Martha and her brother Oscar asked almost in unison. Yes, Gregory squeezed out. This is my ex-wife, whom I wanted to find. Why are you here, Maria? Gregory asked. Why did you suddenly need to find me? And with the help of the police, no less. I wasn't hiding anywhere, Maria exclaimed. It was evident that Maria was trying to somehow change the situation, but she didn't know how exactly. Besides, she was genuinely puzzled. Why did Gregory suddenly decide to track her down after all these years? Well, Martha said, amazed. How small the world turns out to be. So, you're Mr. Gregory's wife. And he came here to ask Oscar to find you. And it turns out that he found you right here. Well, she repeated, bewilderedly shifting her gaze from Gregory to Maria, then to Oscar, not knowing what this whole situation was about. Well, this is wonderful, Oscar exclaimed cheerfully. So, I don't need to make any extra effort, no need to search for anyone. Relatives finally meet. Very nice. I'm Oscar. You're Gregory, right? He extended his hand to his predecessor. And Gregory shook it. But the joy of those around them, Gregory and Maria couldn't share. Oscar continued. I hope you weren't looking for my wife to take her back. Because it's simply useless. I won't give her up. And it seems like she's not planning to leave. Right, Maria? I'm not planning to come back, Gregory said. But I do have a few questions for her. And these questions are very important. Let's sit down and talk about it, Gregory said, deciding not to postpone the conversation. They sat down at the table, and Gregory, deciding not to delay the conversation, asked directly. I have a question, Maria, completely unrelated to our long-ended relationship. I'm interested in just one thing. Why didn't I know about my son? Since you're alive and well, I can assume that you left him at the maternity hospital after giving birth. And I want to know why. Why was my child, whom I knew nothing about, wandering through orphanages and foster families, and then through the cemetery, begging for food? What do you mean wandering, begging? If that's the case, then how did I know? And how do you know that some beggar is your son? What are you making up here? Maria tried to come up with an explanation, increasingly losing herself under Oscar's astonished gaze. Stop it. Don't make the situation worse than it is. The child is mine. Tests confirmed it. Only you could have given birth to him. But what happened after that? Did you just abandon him? Gregory asked, trying not to look at his ex-wife or her husband. And Maria looked at both men with all her eyes and realized that there was no way out. And she decided to change tactics. Yes, I abandoned the child. And what else could I do? I'm completely alone, a poor woman. You left me pregnant. Did you forget about that? What other option did I have? To go out and beg? I didn't know we were going to have a child. You didn't know or didn't want to know. When a man and a woman live together, things like this happen. But you just left without giving me a chance to tell you about it. You know why I left. You know why I wouldn't have come back under any circumstances. But you could have told me about the child. And don't make things up, Maria. Even if you were left alone with the child, you wouldn't have to beg. You had a nice apartment, a job, you had your mother. I don't know if she's alive now. And I would never have refused to help. What does my mother have to do with it? She always hated me. And what does the job have to do with it? I couldn't work with a child in my arms. Help from you? Some pennies sent by mail once a month? And all the rest would fall on my shoulders. I was completely alone when you left without saying goodbye. And don't make me out to be a monster. I left the child at the maternity hospital, thinking that everything would be fine with him. Nothing bad happens to orphans. Nowadays, orphanages are so good that I'd even go live there myself. After all, good people also adopt children. Our kid wasn't lucky. He was adopted by not the best representatives of the human race. He ran away from there and lived in the company of some street kids or maybe young criminals. If I hadn't accidentally seen him, who knows what would have happened to our child? By the way, he was seriously ill when we happened to meet, Gregory explained. But what does that have to do with me? Am I to blame for them giving him up for adoption to the wrong people? Maria either genuinely believed she was completely right or simply didn't know how to respond to these accusations. Oscar was also taken aback and only now managed to ask, "Maria, is that true? Did you have a child that you abandoned? I mean, you refused at the maternity hospital? But I'm explaining to you. Gregory left me. Just walked away, who knows where. And we even divorced in absentia. You see, he didn't know about the child. And why? Because he refused to talk to me. He didn't even answer the phone. And his mom hung up too when I called. How could I tell him I was pregnant? That I would have a child? No chance to tell him, or even apologize if I was somehow at fault. Although I don't see any fault of mine," Maria said confidently, gearing up and feeling she could justify herself, spoke assertively. "Well, he left you. That's the most common thing. But why did you abandon the child? I can't understand that." Oscar grew increasingly gloomy. Gregory decided to clarify the circumstances of his breakup with his wife. "I left Maria after seeing that she was cheating on me. Yes, she did it openly. Not just in front of me, but in front of my friends and colleagues we were visiting. I accidentally walked into the room and saw her with another man." "What a sin," the woman exclaimed. "What did you see there? That we were sitting next to each other? You tortured me with your jealousy. You just mocked me. Admit it already. Any woman would have left you. How many years have passed since our divorce, and as I understand it, you have nobody. And you never will," Maria snapped. "Damn it, Maria, what are you saying? You abandoned a child at the maternity hospital, and I knew nothing about it. Why didn't you tell me about it when we first met?" Oscar exclaimed. "Am I crazy to talk about something like that? I fell in love with you, wanted to marry you." "Hold on," Maria exclaimed. "So, you found our son?" She turned to Gregory. "Where is he? Can I see him?" "Why?" "He'll stay with me, and you're absolutely unnecessary to us. You can be free and happy. Then why did you appear in my life again? You always ruin everything," Maria shouted. But Gregory didn't want to listen anymore. He left, bid farewell to the hostess, apologized for the disturbance, and left, leaving the relatives to sort things out on their own. He couldn't bear to see the woman who had once meant so much to him. He was lucky to have such a wonderful son. It's a pity he found out about him only recently. He didn't see him as a child, didn't carry him in his arms. He didn't know how his first teeth appeared, how he took his first steps. But it's okay, they still have many discoveries ahead of them. The next day, when he came to the hospital, he first went to Daniel's room, who had already recovered and was sitting at the table, flipping through some book. When he saw Gregory, he jumped up joyfully. "Mr. Gregory, hello. I've been waiting for you to come. I'm bored without you. And they even allowed me to go for a walk. I just don't want to go alone. Besides, I don't have any clothes. But when it's warm, you can go out like this, right?" You can, Daniel. We're going to have a lot of walks together now. You know what I found out? It turns out I'm your dad, Gregory said, feeling a bit embarrassed about how the boy would take the news. Is it true? Daniel whispered. You found me? Daddy, finally. The child threw himself into his arms. I always knew you were out there. I told the other kids that I had a real dad, that he would find me, and we would always be together. They didn't believe me, laughed at me, teased me. But you found me anyway. Thank you. The details of how it happened didn't interest the child. He apparently felt in his heart that his real dad had come to him. The one he had been waiting for years, whom he believed in every minute of his little life. What about Mom? Will she come too? Because I have a mom. The boy asked the inevitable question. There is a mom, of course, but she still needs to be found. I'm sure she'll come someday, Gregory promised his son, not meaning Maria at all. The appearance of such a mother was absolutely unnecessary to them. Gregory immediately began the process of establishing paternity, which turned out to be not as difficult as he expected. After all, the main thing was in his hands. He could easily prove that the boy was his biological son, whom he didn't even know about. The mother gave him up at the maternity hospital, and the foster parents were not eager to take back a child they considered problematic. So Gregory didn't even need to adopt Daniel. He just needed to establish paternity, which was quickly done. Even more challenging was adjusting to their life together. Gregory had lived alone for too long, had never been a father, and now he needed to learn everything on the fly. Fortunately, Daniel turned out to be a clever boy. He was even more prepared for family life than his father. Gregory was so enthusiastic about these new experiences that he didn't notice anything around him, not even in conversations with Martha. He described his fatherhood so vividly that the girl couldn't get a word in. But one day she managed to interrupt Gregory's story about how Daniel started preschool and said sadly, "You know, my brother, Oscar, decided to divorce his wife after your meeting." With Maria? Gregory was slightly surprised. Yes, after that meeting of yours. They had a fight, but they still left together. I thought maybe they could somehow reconcile. After all, they have Maria's daughter, Emilia. Oscar loves her very much. And I thought Maria loved her too. But then I found out they decided to split up after all. He said he couldn't live with her after what he found out. And that was the pure truth. Then, after Gregory left, still in Martha's house, there was a quite intense conversation between Oscar and Maria. "I'm sorry, Maria, but I never imagined you were like this. How could you abandon your own son? I've explained it to you before. I'm not the first, I won't be the last. Many women do the same. And I assure you, everyone has their reasons. I'm a good mother to our Emilia. Why do you think I abandoned my first son? I'm sorry, dear, but I can't see any explanation other than cruelty. And in much more difficult circumstances, women don't abandon their children. And your living conditions were far from the worst. Especially if you had told your ex-husband about it, that you gave birth to a child. How could I tell him? Don't you hear me? He refused to talk to me, sent me away, that's all. So I couldn't even count on child support. But who are you telling this to, Maria? How could you not count on child support? You don't need to ask for it from husbands, you just need to file the papers. Okay, you didn't know where he lived. But did you forget his last name, his first name? And he, as I understand it, doesn't intend to abandon the child. And he now wants to take him back and raise him himself. If he had known that you had given birth, then maybe your divorce wouldn't have happened. It didn't happen. And then we would have never met you. Would you have been happy about that? Weren't we happy together? Maria approached her husband, preparing to hug him. But Oscar recoiled. I'm afraid of you, understand? I never thought I would find myself in close relation with a woman capable of such a wild act. You know I worked as an investigator in my youth? I've seen so many terrible stories related to children. I've seen how adoptive parents sometimes treat them horribly. I've seen how these children, left without any supervision, suffer and struggle, wandering and begging, forming packs, becoming criminals. And what now, Oscar? Are we really going to break up over this nonsense? The woman asked tearfully. You see, dear, for you it's just nonsense. So what if you abandoned your child? So what if he almost died? There's really nothing terrible about that. And you're asking me if I agree to continue any kind of relationship with you. You don't even want to understand that looking at you disgusts and scares me. I wasn't prepared for such a turn of events, and I highly doubt I can live with you the same way as before. Oh, really? Maria flared up. Well then, know that if you leave me, you'll never see Emily again. Oh, you scare me. Have you forgotten who you're married to? I'm not going to abandon my daughter, and I'll see her anyway. Let's meet in court. With these words, Oscar went to his room and firmly closed the door behind him, asking not to be disturbed anymore. Maria went to cry in the bedroom, hoping she could still reconcile with her husband. These hopes proved futile. Over the next few days, Oscar remained just as cold with his wife and eventually announced that he wanted a divorce. All of Maria's tears and pleas were completely in vain, which he made clear quite quickly. I'm leaving our daughter to you. Of course, I'll pay child support regularly. But remember, if she ever starts bothering you, don't do anything stupid, just give her to me. And write a disclaimer yourself. You're used to it. And don't you dare turn her against me or interfere with our communication. Otherwise, not only Emily, but everyone around will find out what you did in the past. The woman had to resign herself, realizing that Oscar had much more leverage to stand his ground and carry out all his threats. Meanwhile, everything was going very well for Gregory and Daniel. Daniel no longer asked questions about his mom. Apparently, he understood that these were adult matters that he couldn't resolve yet. Gregory's initial euphoria, caused by the unexpected fatherhood, quickly subsided. He simply became a good father to his son. Not just a father, but a real friend. As it turned out, it wasn't difficult to be friends with Daniel. He was a very friendly boy, which helped him communicate with everyone. He entered school well prepared, studied well, and didn't cause his father any problems. Gregory continued to work at the same hospital and grew closer to Martha, who soon became not just a co-worker, but a beloved woman. 3 years after Gregory became a father, he proposed to the girl, which she accepted. When Gregory told his son that he wanted to get married and to whom, Daniel was simply overjoyed. His relationship with Martha had become wonderful, and very soon he started calling the girl Mom.